Hi, hello, welcome back. How are you all? Hope you're all good. First of all, I wish you a happy, healthy, and joyful new year. So, children, we are moving on to our last term, and the first chapter for the last term is that the earth. In this chapter, we are going to discuss some of the key concepts such as what is the earth crust, how the oceans and lands are formed, what is under the crust, and what are soils, how the earth moves, and how the seasons are changing. So many topics we will discuss in this chapter. So let us get started. The earth was not always the way it is now. Millions of years ago, it is so hot that everything on it boiled. Hot gases came out of the boiling earth and formed a blanket of air around it. Slowly, the earth cooled. The liquid stuff at the top of the earth changed into a thin layer of solid rock. The way a layer of cream forms over milk. We call this layer of rock the crust. So, what does it say? The earth was not always the way it is now. That is, the earth that we are seeing now is not like the earth that we have seen millions of years ago. Okay, it was so hot that everything on it boiled. Okay, so the hot gases came out of the boiling earth and forms the blanket of air around it. Okay, slowly what happened? Yes, it cooled. That is, the earth cooled. So the liquid stuff at the top of the earth changed into a thin layer of solid rock. Okay, so we call this layer of rock the crust. So this is how the earth crust formed. Okay, so millions of years ago, the earth was very hot and it will boil everything on it. Okay, so hot gases came out of it, and of course it forms a blanket of air around it, and slowly it cools down, and of course the liquid stuffs changed into a layer of solid rocks, which is known as the earth crust. Okay, now the air also cooled, and the water vapor in it formed the clouds. Then it rained so much that the low parts of the earth's crust got covered with water. These water covered parts are the oceans. Only about one fourth of the crust stayed above water. This is what we call the land. So, children, we all know that there was a blanket of air around it, and slowly the air also get cooled. Okay, so the water vapor in it forms the clouds. We know that how the rain forms. So, the clouds forms the rain, and most of the lower parts of the earth crust got covered with water. So, the water covered parts are known as oceans. Okay, and only about one fourth of the crust stayed above the water, and this is what we call it as land. Okay, other than the ocean, they are known as land. That is, only one portion of the earth crust is covered with land, and the three fourth of the crust is covered with water, which is called as the oceans. Okay, you can see in the picture the earth looks like a blue ball from space, as nearly three-fourths of it is covered by water. You can see the blue colored. Okay, it is the water. Okay, and next one is about what is under the crust. The crust of the earth is not very thick. If we compared the earth with a mango, the crust would be like a skin of the mango. Under the crust is a lot of molten rock, like the flesh of the mango. And inside the molten rock is a ball of hot, solid metal like the seed of the mango. See here, what they are doing is that they are comparing the earth with that of a mango. We all know that, and we are familiar with what is mango and what all things that does a mango have. The mango will have a skin, and under the skin there is the flesh of the mango, and inside the flesh there is a seed. Likewise, when we are comparing it with that of the earth will have a crust. Okay, the earth crust, which is compared to that of the skin of the mango. And what is under the crust? It is the molten rocks. Okay, under the crust is a lot of molten rocks, which is compared to that of the flesh of the mango. And what is inside the molten rock? That is, it is a very hot solid metal. Okay, like the seed of the mango. So the earth will have the earth crust, the molten rock, and the hot solid metal. Okay, so you can see in the picture under the crust. The crust is in the blue color that you can see, and hot molten rock that is in the golden color, and inside that molten rock we can see the hot solid metal. Okay, so these are under the crust. Okay, and how do we know that there is molten rock under the crust? That's a very nice question, isn't it? How we know that there are molten rocks under the crust? Let us see. Sometimes the molten rocks find its way through cracks in the crust. The cracks are called the volcanoes. The hot molten rock that comes out of the lava. When the lava cools, it forms rocks. Volcanoes tell us that there is still a lot of very hot molten rocks under the crust. Okay, so this is the answer for the question. That is, how do we know that there is molten rocks under the crust? That is, the molten rocks find its way in order to come out of the crust. Okay, so there is cracks in between the crust, and that cracks are known as the volcanoes. Okay, so the hot molten rocks will comes out of the volcanoes, that is through the cracks on the crust. Okay, so the cracks are known as the volcanoes, and the molten rocks that comes out of the cracks is known as the lava. Okay, and when the lava cools, what happens? It forms the rocks. Okay, so what does the volcanoes tells us? Yes, there is the volcanoes tells us that there is still a lot of very hot molten rocks under the crust. So you can see in the picture the lava flows out of volcanoes. Okay, so children, you can study all these portions and read the portion nicely from your textbook. Keep watching, keep safe in your home. Thank you.